lot of folks these days talking about, I got to get my LLC, I got to do all this stuff for my business, but what does this really mean? And how can we protect ourselves when we're doing this?
Well, the biggest thing is you got to make sure you make the right choices. A lot of times people just say, I'm going to be an LLC, and I'll go pay $50, go online, Secretary of State's office, ooh, I got an LLC. But what did you really do? Did you protect anything? Most likely you didn't, but you think you did. So I suppose you're good until you get sued, and then you'll find out if you really did anything. So the ABCs of LLCs. So what do you want to know?
Well, I want to know, when do you actually need an LLC? If I have a small business right now, do I need one?
Chances are yes.
Okay.
LLC, limited liability company. In other words, you want to limit your liability. You want to limit your liability against your personal assets. A liability means that I might owe someone something. So if you set up a business and you're selling something, a product, you want them to be able to sue your business assets versus your personal assets. So when you set up that limited liability company, you're saying I'm limiting my liability to the assets of this entity that I've created and not my personal assets. In order for that to occur, you got to have all your paperwork done correctly. So if you just set up the $50 LLC, you need to make sure that the world understands that that's a separate vehicle, a separate entity, than you, so that you do the rest of the paperwork to make sure that that happens. I.e., do you have an operating agreement that tells the world that this business operates separately from me?
Gotcha. So when you're thinking about just even creating something just as simple as, you know, I make hats, okay? So now I got my LLC. I think I did the paperwork right. Who do I need to contact to find out if I did the process accurately?
Well, the biggest thing is you got to contact somebody who does that for a living. If not me, some other business lawyer who does it. Liability is a legal issue. Do you have an operating agreement? An operating agreement, okay, how do I think about this? An operating agreement is sort of like a prenuptial agreement. It defines the terms of how you operate. If you're a partnership, let's say there are two of you who go into this LLC. In LLC, you have members. In a corporation, you have shareholders. LLC, you have members. An operating agreement defines how the members' relationship works. Prenuptial agreement, think of a couple that gets married. Not that I believe in prenuptial agreements, but if you had one, it would be the operating agreement. What happens if we break up? What happens if we decide we don't like each other? What happens if we have to have a vote and there's a tie? How do we determine the tiebreaker? How do we determine who makes the final decision? It sets out all those terms in advance, because 2 years in, if that comes up and you didn't decide on the front end, you've got a problem. That operating agreement says that. But even if you're a single member LLC, that operating agreement sets up these terms that says this entity is a viable entity, and these are the rules by which it operates, which separates it from Miss Kayla sitting over here. This is Kayla, and this is her LLC. And they're two different people, even though she's a sole member who owns 100% of the interest in this. She's still a separate entity from this entity. So if you sue this LLC because that captain fit quite right, or it caused a band across her head that just won't go away, you can't go after Kayla's house or her car or her Mercedes or anything else that she has.
Or
that
speak that into
convertible.
existence.
Or I'm speaking to existence. Or that luxury townhouse in Destin that she goes to every other weekend that we've never heard about.
Right. So that protects all of that. So you can come for my business, but you ain't come for my life.
Your personal, that's correct.
Gotcha. So now you said before we leave, and anything else that people get in this interview, you want them to get the ABCs of LLCs. So can you run them down? ABC. A, asset protection. And you probably got to be authorized. B, business entity election. Did you realize that when you come a LLC, you can be a partnership LLC if there are a group of you. You can be a corporation LLC. You can be a S-Corp LLC. You can be a limited partnership LLC. But the thing is, you have to make a business entity election when you file your LLC, and that's a Form 8832. Most people, when they file their LLC, they didn't realize, I could have been an S-Corp LLC. They thought I could be with an LLC or an S-Corp. They didn't know they could combine the two. It's amazing. C, continuity. How long am I going to be this LLC? Did you realize you can convert it from one to the other? Let's say I'm a single member LLC right now. I want to convert to an S-Corp LLC.
Guess what? You can do that if you've been one at least 5 years. Every 5 years, you can change the nature of your business entity. D, I need to diagnose where my business is right now. Guess what? That's why you have that operating plan. You hold a business meeting, and in there you say, okay, this is what I do. We did the E, we did entity selection already. G, geographically, wow, that's a tough one, because if I'm an LLC, LLC is a state creation, i.e. you're born in a specific state. LLCs are created under the rules of the state in which they operate. So if I want to move my LLC from Mississippi to Alabama, I better go and see what the LLC rules in Alabama are, because they're going to be different from here, and I might have to close down my LLC in Mississippi to open an LLC in Alabama unless they allow for a foreign registration. Oh, that's the F, a foreign registration of it there to find out. H, well, you need to take care of your house, right? So you need to have annual meetings to figure out your annual member meeting. If you're single members, it's going to be you, but you're going to be following your operating agreement to see when your annual meeting is held. We're back on A, annual meetings, but you take care of your household. And the Secretary of State, oh, this is a great one. My daughter said to me, Daddy, please tell them this. Every year, you have to do an annual registration with the Secretary of State's office for any business entity that you set up. Every year, some company is going to try and make a fool out of you and send you something in the mail and say, if you pay us $100, we'll make sure that your annual registration is filed for you. You can file it for free. In fact, the Secretary of State's office is going to send you an email that says, you need to file your annual registration. Click here. If you click there, they'll take you to the site, and you just fill it out, update your information, and click. It's updated. Don't pay somebody $100. But if you need to pay somebody $100, just go to the ABCsofLLCs.com, sign up, get on my site, and pay me every year. And I'll do it for you.